Επιστρέψαμε κυρίες και κύριοι με το δεύτερο μέρος της εκπομπής μας, πάντα στο Thrakinet. Ας δούμε το θέμα που ακολουθεί. Η Πολωνία δέχεται πιέσεις για να σεβαστεί το κράτος δικαίου και την ελευθερία του τύπου.
La Polonia è un grande paese. Noi non l'abbandoneremo. Lei non la porti su una via che non è consona alla sua storia e alla sua tradizione.
No se trata de la ley, se trata de los valores. Usted, como cualquier gobierno legítimo, puede cambiar la ley, pero ni usted ni ningún gobierno legítimo puede cambiar los valores.
I nie doszło, szanowni państwo, w ostatnim czasie do żadnego złamania konstytucji w Polsce.
Having spoken to Polish MEPs, ministers and the Prime Minister earlier today, it is clear that they have no intention of undermining pluralism and the rule of law.
Mutual trust among EU member states and their respective legal systems depends on the confidence that the rule of law is observed in all member states.
Σε μια εποχή ανασφάλειας, οι ευρωβουλευτές υπογραμμίζουν την ανάγκη ύπαρξης ενός διαπολιτισμικού διαλόγου.
Last year's terror attacks and the migration surge have given the drive towards multiculturalism in Europe new impetus. This week, MEPs threw their weight behind an initiative from the Culture Committee to reinvigorate the process.
Intercultural dialogue is about talking to each other. It is about encountering each other, learning about each other, celebrating difference, finding commonality.
Mass migrations have taken place in Europe for centuries. They've led to diverse, multi-religious societies. The danger now, warns one MEP, is for EU member states to close in on themselves in the face of imagined threats.
We all have become more or less, at least, migration societies, and that means we have to deal with our own cultural traditions, but with all the cultures of the migrant societies and communities as well. We should not go back to nationalism and to this concept of sovereignty.
In their resolution, MEPs urge member states to make the most of a raft of educational, creative, research and neighbourhood programmes in the EU to advance intercultural dialogue.
Η επικεφαλής της εξωτερικής πολιτικής της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης, Φεντερίκα Μογκερίνη, εξέφρασε την αισιοδοξία της για τη νέα εποχή σχέσεων μεταξύ Ιράν και Δύσης.
Iran has been welcomed into the international fold as Russia remains out of favour. Busy times for Europe and its Foreign Affairs Chief, Federica Mogherini. She sat down with Europanel TV and our first question: what could be on the way after France invoked an EU treaty solidarity clause following attacks in Paris?
Somehow we are in a new territory because it's the first time we use an article of the treaty. And I believe this has a very important significance politically, because it means that also in the field of defence we can use the articles of the treaties that are there
to develop the common security and defence policy.
To develop even more, because we do have 17 EU missions and operations around the world already. So we do have a capacity out there already. But there are articles of the treaties that we can use even more, and this is an example for that.
But what about a combined military response by the member states of Europe?
I do not see a future EU military intervention in Syria or in Iraq. I said this several times. The European Union is having a role, a crucial one, on Syria and the fight against Daesh on two tracks. One is the humanitarian assistance we give inside Syria and around Syria. And second is the support and the facilitation we are providing for the political talks to try to solve the crisis in Syria.
There is talks that will happen in Geneva on January 25th involving all the key players from Russia to the EU to Iran. What is expected from these talks?
What we've done immediately after having reached an agreement with Iran on their nuclear program after the summer, we have pushed for forming an international support group for Syria with all the relevant actors in the region and the international scenes. The talks among the Syrians that are supposed to start within a few days in Geneva are going to be the starting point of, on one side, a political transition. So yes, A transition means that you start in one place and you end up in another one. In Damascus, in parallel, a ceasefire among all those that are fighting the internal civil war in Syria that could allow us to unite forces to effectively fight against Daesh and defeat Daesh.
But Bashar al-Assad specifically, can you see him continuing?
The international community does not have a common stance. You know that very well. Iran and Russia have one position. The European Union, our American friends, others in the region do not have the same position. The important point is that rather than simply stating, as we have done for 4 or 5 years now, that Bashar al-Assad has to live and he's still there, we start a process that allows the transition to begin. The only way of defeating Daesh, not only fighting but defeating Daesh, is to stop the civil war and unite forces against the major threats.
Now, changing gears and coming to a former, you could say, international pariah, Iran, how do you see relations with Iran developing, and how good is it for Europe?
For Europe, it's going to be very good. From an economic point of view, that's quite obvious. Europe has always been the strongest actor in an economic or commercial scene in Iran before the sanctions were introduced, and you see this very clearly already. It's mainly for the European businesses to go back to invest and cooperate with Iranian businesses. But I see a lot of possible fields of cooperation between the European Union and Iran in the field of research and science and technology or culture. We have plenty of fields where cooperation is possible, none of them excluded. The real success will come when this agreement will manage to open the way for different kinds of relations, more cooperative relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia and other countries in the Gulf and in the region. This is the real investment.
Can you see a problem occurring in the future where the West has to choose between Sunni versus Shia?
Tensions are there today, and this is self-evident. In this moment, these are very serious, and there is a serious risk that the bilateral tensions between Saudi Arabia and Iran could develop in something bigger for the region and for the rest of the world. But on the other side, look back 1 year, 2 years ago.
To the relations with Iran itself.
Relations with Iran were a completely different moment. An agreement was far from reality. We were working on that, but we were very far away. The sanctions were in place. And what happened just a few days ago with the release of prisoners of US citizenship in Iran and Iranian citizenship in the US was inconceivable just 1 year ago. So things can change, and can change in a positive way.
And then just lastly, what next for Russia?
Sanctions on Russia have just been rolled over in December. The European Union is and stays united on this, on the fact that this is linked to the full implementation of the Minsk agreements. There is no change in policy there. I hope in the future to improve relations with Russia on other issues. We work in a constructive way with Russia. Think of the Iranian deal I just mentioned, we did it together. Think of the situation in the Middle East, we worked together. Think of the situation in Libya. All the work we do in the UN Security Council, we do it together. On the Ukrainian issue, on the annexation of Crimea, our policy stays the same, but our wish is that our relations with Russia could improve and that the Minsk agreement could be fully implemented.
Gladly, Ms. Mogherini, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us on Europe TV. Thank you.
Νέοι με προσόντα και άνεργοι. Το Κοινοβούλιο επαναφέρει στο προσκήνιο τη συζήτηση για την απασχόληση και πιέζει την Ευρωπαϊκή Επιτροπή για να προτείνει απτούς νόμους.
A team player, a good work ethic, some of the basic skills listed in job descriptions. But increasingly, employers are looking for candidates with good IT skills and social media awareness. A win-win situation for the new tech-savvy generation. But with 21% of young Europeans without a job, it would seem that they are hard to place in the market.
Z jednej strony pracodawcy oczekują od młodych pracowników często dużej komunikatywności. Ale z drugiej strony tym młodym ludziom często w sposób nieudolny komunikowane są potrzeby, które dotyczą ich zatrudnienia.
7 million people aged between 15 to 24 years old aren't just unemployed, they're not in training or education. MEPs want to focus on real partnership with SMEs. Disadvantaged groups like those with disability or from lower income families would be given social skills training.
For some people with particular disadvantages, there is a need for additional support. It's clear that many member states are neglecting in their duty to actually make sure that that works and that people have an equal and fair opportunity on the labour market.
But this attempt to reinvigorate the jobs debate depends on whether the EU Commission will now act to provide concrete legislation to help the lost generation.
Ζάπινγκ στην Ολομέλεια. Οι ευρωβουλευτές μεταξύ άλλων αναζητούν τρόπους για να εξουδετερώσουν το Ισλαμικό κράτος.
Es geht um den Eindruck, dass eine Regierungsmehrheit zu einem Diktat greift.
It is clear that they have no intention of undermining pluralism and the rule of law.
Una Corte Costituzionale indipendente e dei mezzi di informazione liberi sono i presupposti di uno Stato di diritto.
Jeżeli chodzi o zmiany w mediach publicznych, to zmiany zostały wprowadzone przez większość parlamentarną, w niczym nie naruszają europejskich standardów dotyczących publicznych nadawców.
Aujourd'hui, on réintroduit allègrement des contrôles aux frontières. Demain, on s'apercevra que le coût économique est considérable.
Nous avons honte de voir nombre d'États membres remettre en question des acquis importants comme celui de Schengen.
Es muss klargestellt werden, dass derjenige, der Recht bricht und der die Tradition entspricht, die Gleichberechtigung von Mann und Frau, die Kultur in Europa nicht respektiert, dass der dann auch sein Gastrecht verwirkt und abgeschoben werden muss.
You're going to have an exceptional summit on the 18th, I think, of February on Brexit. Well, I propose a change. Do an exceptional summit on the refugee crisis. The kind of Brexit can wait until March of April.
The Union is stronger with Britain inside, and Britain is stronger inside the Union. That's why we do think that the deal we are seeking has to be a fair deal for the European Union too.
The opportunity for change should be grasped enthusiastically.
Nederland zal dit jaar geen Europees kampioen zijn voor voetbal. Dat weten we wel. Maar Nederland is wel een Europees kampioen op een ander vlak dat u niet vermeld hebt en dat is belastingontwijking.
Tous les contribuables honnêtes, PME et particuliers doivent payer plus d'impôts, compenser ce pillage organisé par le Luxembourg et d'autres paradis fiscaux. Et cette triste Union européenne ne fait rien pour arrêter cela.
Christians in Iraq and Syria on a daily basis are abducted, raped, tortured and forced to flee.
На тези, които го организират, като Саудитска Арабия, трябва да се налагат търговски санкции.
It's still not working information sharing, especially when it comes to information on suspects, on risks, and that's what we need to strengthen, not gathering loads of data on individuals who are not relevant at all.
Sie haben es geschafft, ein Abkommen zustande zu bringen, wo teilweise Länder gemeinsam sich verpflichtet haben, die gegeneinander Krieg führen.
If the Paris Agreement made one thing clear to our economy, is that low carbon will be more competitive than high carbon, and that is a very, very crucial notion.
Quand on regarde les derniers chiffres sur les investissements sur les énergies renouvelables, on voit que toutes les régions du monde progressent en matière d'investissement sur les énergies renouvelables, sauf l'Europe.
Κάπου εδώ, κυρίες και κύριοι, ολοκληρώθηκε η εκπομπή Ευρώπη Τώρα, πάντα σε συνεργασία με το Europal TV. Εμείς θα τα ξαναπούμε την επόμενη εβδομάδα την ίδια ώρα, εδώ στο Thrakin.net. Μέχρι τότε να είστε όλοι καλά. Καλή σας νύχτα.